Music underwater. So these are things that you didn't know about. Let's go. So how do you imagine evolution? Probably the first thing that comes to mind is a picture of a fish coming ashore, crawling across the beach, eventually growing paws, and after a few million years, posting on Facebook? But all this happened not too long ago. There's no documentary evidence, no modern evidence, except for the fish that are climbing up the wall, or are they swimming up? I don't even know how to describe this process. Of course, the continuous flow of water clearly helps, but that's a vertical wall. Is it a fish? Spider-Man? Fish Spider-Man? If I tell you there's a drift on horseback, you'd probably think it's something from an old Indian movie. But no, it's a strange and quite old Mexican sport. People organize competitions by drifting on horses. It's called Puntas. It's quite simple. The rider accelerates, then when the horse enters a certain zone, he sharply tightens the reins. The horse rises to the rear hooves, and it slides gracefully on the ground for about 20 feet. The task is to stop in the right place without going out of line, and if the horse and the rider manage to do it, people applaud enthusiastically. I don't know about you, but it always seemed to me that surfing was something summery. I mean, you can't go in the water when the temperature is below zero and there's snow everywhere. Then I saw these guys. Yeah, it's winter, and they're really covered in ice, like seafood in the supermarket. I especially like the beard and the style of the Stiff and Davy Jones. And if we believe the video description, this effect can be achieved if you surf on Lake Michigan at temperatures of below 20. So if you want the same glaze, you know the recipe. How do you imagine a building that can move? Most likely, it's some kind of house on wheels, or at least a very shaky structure, one where a gust of wind could take it away. Well, that's also movement, but I managed to find a mobile barn. No, it doesn't have wheels, but there are 300 people who lift this barn and carry it to a new place. Who needs special equipment if you have a few hundred friends who are ready to help you move? However, it's not stubbornness. The barn was moved in the Amish community, and they don't use any machines at all, but could make a lot out of the situation. Seriously, it's a walking barn. For 3 centuries, farmers living in remote mountains in the north of Turkey have been whistling messages over long distances. Why? I mean, what are the other options when you live in the middle of nowhere? It's a language called Castillo, which is still in use even today. Of course, in the era of cell phones, fewer and fewer people learn it. But still, some, and let's say native speakers, remain. There are about 10,000 of them. So the bird language is in danger of extinction. UNESCO has included the language on its list of intangible cultural heritages, and studies have shown that such a conversation is perceived by a person as speech and melody at the same time. I wonder if it's the same for birds. Most people try to stay away from knives and blades. They will use them only in the kitchen, not in Taiwan here. For over 2,500 years, there's the practice of knife massage. It first appeared in China as an alternative to traditional medicine, and it's still popular today, of course. Knives are specially made as blunt as possible, so you don't accidentally hurt someone. But I mean, I'd be tense if someone swung such a machete near my face. This method of massage is believed to relieve headaches, ulcers, backaches, and migraines. Or maybe it attracts good weather, financial well-being, and discounts at your supermarket. Who knows? Would you like to grab some fire for a snack? After all, people all over India eat pond, a special dish that helps digestion. It consists of a petal leaf filled with anything: nuts, cardamom, fruit, chocolate, whatever you like best. The tradition of eating ponds has been there for centuries, but the cooks in one of the street food stalls in New Delhi saw this dish in a whole new way. They set fire to it. When they put something burning in your mouth, you immediately want to share what happened with friends. While it's not surprising that the videos with the burning pond became viral, we can only hope that the cook has a fire extinguisher under the table. There are many different fish and other fish things in the sea. Sometimes the fishermen catch strange deep-sea creatures, and sometimes blue lobsters. In May 2016, such a lobster was caught off the coast of Nova Scotia, to the great surprise and delight of fishermen, and we could understand them. The chances of catching a blue lobster are estimated to be about 1 in 2 million. Its bright blue color is explained by a genetic mutation, and no, environmental problems have nothing to do with it. Nature sometimes likes to joke. Bulls are some kind of sumo wrestlers of the animal world. They're huge, heavy, and almost immobile, as long as you don't upset them. In any case, such a picture immediately appears before your eyes. But nature likes to say ha to existing stereotypes. Meet Hyken's Arc Jupiter, or just Humphrey for friends. Humphrey is a species of miniature zebu, and traditionally, such bulls grow to over 90 centimeters top of shoulder. But this baby has only reached 67.6 centimeters. His height is also much lower than that of his next of kin, including his brother. However, Humphrey leads a very ordinary life for a bull. He walks, eats, and is going to become a father soon. Yep, he's actually a breeder, and he won't ignore his duty despite his small size. Music underwater. No, this is not a remake of The Little Mermaid that everybody's already ready to criticize. I'm talking about Aquasonic, the project of the Danish band. Between music, they really perform underwater. 5 performers are immersed in glass tanks to play on custom-made instruments. These include the underwater pipe organ, a hydraulophone, crystallophone, rotocorda, percussion instruments, and violin. But they aren't limited to the instruments. They also sing. Still, being underwater, they get strange, melodic, and sometimes almost frightening compositions. It's better to hear it once by yourself than to trust the retelling and shocking photos. Just listen. Now pay attention. Put the sensitive children and snakes away from the screens. On YouTube, there are many videos in which snake charmers try to extract snake stones from live snakes. Most of these videos claim that cobras have Nag Amani in their heads. Snake stones, they're called. You can get these stones and use them to scare the snakes away, or they can be used to remove poison. Supposedly, that's enough to put a snake stone in the place of the bike, and it'll absorb all the poison. It'd be very convenient, wouldn't it? Alas, nature doesn't work like that. Nag Amani is an exclusively human invention. Some snake charmers catch cobras, make an incision in the neck, and then they insert smooth seeds or stones under the skin of the animal. The incision is usually closed with quick glue, and then in front of gullible people they make another incision and squeeze out the content that was stuck there earlier. In a situation like this, you've got to feel sorry for the cobra. Imagine you're being prepared for brain surgery, and you are, of course, a little worried, or a lot. I mean, it's the brain. Like, hello, what's more important than that? Now, imagine that the doctor tells you no general anesthesia, and you'll be conscious. Yep, somewhere at this point, the real panic would begin. But in fact, some brain operations are really performed without putting patients to sleep. This helps to understand if any important functions are not impaired. But the case of violinist Roger Fish is very special. He was trying to have a tremor cured with brain surgery, and during the operation, he played the violin. While the musician was performing the composition, the neurosurgeons implanted the electrode into his brain, and everything else ended as it should, with applause. I don't know about you, but I can't imagine my life without Google Maps and Street View. But now, helps to navigate the streets of most major cities. And it can also help you take a walk where no car can reach. Let's say thank you to the Trekker program, because the Street View camera was put in a backpack with a camera, plus a person ready to move on off-road and wild trails. Now you can look at the Grand Canyon or even some protected forests in the first person without even closing your browser. Given recent events, this might be my only chance to travel. Living right next to a streetcar or something like that is a dubious pleasure. And if the train passes very close to your windows, it's not only the noise, but also the complete lack of personal space. On the one hand, you've got passengers who look through other people's windows. On the other hand, the unfortunate residents who are constantly watching the trains. I don't know, sounds like a very unfortunate combination. Okay, it actually sounds like a nightmare, but in Singapore, they solved the problem in the 90s. They launched the Bucket Panjang LRT, adding smart windows to the train, programmed for something like misting within 6 meters of residential buildings. And that's it, no privacy problems. After more buildings appeared, windows had to be reprogrammed, but they still work. Being Santa Claus is not an easy job. I'm not talking about that guy who manages to give presents to every child in the world in one night. Wait, he works only 1 day a year. That sounds like a good job. No, I'm talking about the people who play his role and work much harder to become perfect Santas. They even attend a special school. Seriously, it was opened in 1937 by Charles W. Howard. He was shocked at how careless people are about such important work, and every Santa has to keep the Christmas spirit. That's why the school has existed for so many years. It's moved several times, and today it's in Midland, Michigan. Every year, about 300 bearded students come to the classes, and not only to learn how to say ho 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 properly, they learn Santa's stories, proper use of makeup, singing, Santa's sign language. They learn about it all, even the habits of live deer, and they even help make gifts. So do you have any incredible, cool things in mind? Phenomena, traditions, anything I should tell you about? Write them in the comments and don't forget to subscribe. We'll see you later.